And welcome to the Cosmology segment, folks. Looking at all kinds of different stuff today. Haha. Check out that teaser. We'll get to it in a moment. Did you watch yesterday's Cosmology segment? Here's a thumbnail from it. And talked a little bit about stellar motion on the galactic scale. There's a view of the Milky Way, by the way, folks. This is the National Geographic view. And one thing to note here, folks, is we're really not fully sure of the shape of the Milky Way, especially this area on the other side of the galactic core. Anyway, if you didn't watch yesterday's Cosmology segment, check it out. Perspective is everything, folks, and that was the main idea regarding yesterday's video, and we're not going to really rehash anything, just suggest that you check it out. One important thing to understand, folks, in stellar motions is the difference between if you're located in a place like this and traveling in this direction with respect to the galactic core, or if you're in a place like this traveling in this sort of a direction with respect to the galactic core. Makes a huge difference. And again, we're not going to rehash yesterday's stuff, but we are going to move on to the that is an ass and that is the hole in the ground, where we go vulgarity free and we encourage our users, viewers, website members, etc., and patrons to understand the distinction between the two. According to the Navy, releasing UFO files would cause exceptionally grave damage to U.S. national security. Is that because these unidentified aerial phenomenon are U.S. government aircraft? Could that be why, folks? Is the Tic Tac a U.S. government aircraft? Is that why they sent the fighters out there to take the video and intentionally release it? Was it done just to soften up the American populace to the idea that there are aliens? Is somebody going to impersonate aliens in the near future? Please leave a comment if you have a stance on extraterrestrials. Anyway, let's just play a little clip here. If you're not familiar with the Tic Tac video, we'll play a little clip for you during today's Cosmology segment, noting the difference between hot and cold objects here. This was explained very well in the Joe Rogan Experience also. And you can see he's tracking this thing. It's flying in a very steady sort of a pattern here. Anyway, we left links to the Zero Hedge article. Were you aware that Michael Avenatti's back in jail? Oh yeah. Former lawyer to Stormy Daniels has been trying to extort Nike, apparently, or allegedly trying to extort Nike. Don't try to sue our channel, Mr. Avenatti. I'm sure you've got more than enough on your plate at this juncture. Links to this article also below the video. Arrested in California under suspicion of extortion, I believe. Anyway, I won't waste any more time on such a ridiculous thing. Did you know the world's oldest person celebrated her 117th birthday? She knows the distinction between her you-know-what and a hole in the ground. Check it out. Her main concern was the cake. Kane Tanaka turned 117. And there's information in the article about how she was able to maintain such health over such a period of time. She looks like she's actually coherent, folks. How do you like them apples? 117 years old. And does she give any insights into how she got so old? I don't think she does. Anyway, read the article if you like. Kane Tanaka just turned 117. Somebody's putting extra holes in the ground at Saudi Arabia, as Saudi Arabia has performed in 2019 performed a record number of executions. So if you heard about a little bit of a dust-up going on in Saudi Arabia. It's true. It's true. What it means in terms of fundamentalists and the royal family and so on, I have no freaking idea, and I have no comment. But I did leave a link to the article to the ABC News story if you'd like to read all about it. Did you hear about the Delta jet who dumped fuel over schools, injuring 44 kids? Yeah, I don't think they were hurt too bad, folks. They just got a little bit crop dusted with a bunch of jet fuel. Now, these aircraft prefer to do this at higher altitudes, which allows a little bit more diffusion. But there was the scene when this plane had to make a little U-turn and head back to LAX. And that's quite a bit of fuel. And yes, folks, that is chemtrails. And guess what it's not, folks? In the stratosphere. And guess what, folks? There are no planes spraying chemicals in the stratosphere because we don't have the technology or the chemicals. Okay, read this article here on Earth Sky if you haven't yet, viewers. If you've taken an astronomy class in a place like a college, you may have learned about black holes. You may have learned all about dark matter, WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles, and various other cold dark matter explanations of how things move around the way they do in the universe. And I'm not going to make any comments on black holes except that I consider them massive radio sources, as I have since the mid-90s. And a little resume on me, I started studying cosmic rays when I was about 4 years old in this book right here, which I have to rebind. It's the Reader's Digest World Atlas, which, believe it or not, actually shows cosmic rays on the Earth's environs map. I hope you can see that. I'm not exactly sure, but... And I've been wondering what was going on with cosmic rays and freaked out by them a little bit since I was barely able to read. Anyway, black holes are an important portion of astronomy in that they are a misunderstanding of what happens when things get very massive, and they are a bunch of math in search of observations. Anyway, check out the Earth Sky article about black holes, as you need to understand the science from all of the different angles. Whether you're an electric universe person, or you're a classical astronomer, Neil deGrasse Tyson style, or you're Stephen Hawking, which is a classical astronomer guy with all the Einsteinian math and relativity and so on. You need to understand all of the different perspectives. Here's an important place to stop: the cosmic web. Since gravitational accretion physics does not explain how the galaxies in our universe are oriented onto these filamentary pathways. And we've got theories. We'll talk about them eventually. But we've left links to the Earth Sky article about black holes. And let's talk about how we actually live in a universe of light. And how black holes aren't really a thing. They're just a massive radio source of condensed matter, which eventually folks will start to understand. Let's play a little clip from Dr. Robitaille here on his video entitled "We Live in a Universe of Light." It's a teaser.
Scientists began to insert darkness into their models of the universe. First, in order to account for the appearance of nebulae.
Anyway, space looks pretty dark, folks, but it's pretty hard to get someplace where you can't see any stars, isn't it? You ever notice that? Let's talk about this article. How hot gas feeds spiral arms of the Milky Way galaxy. I'll just read a quote and not anger anybody too much as they watch our video. Polarized radio sources such as distant quasars or neutron stars serve as probes for determining the Faraday rotation. That allows astronomers to not only detect the otherwise difficult to measure magnetic fields in the Milky Way, but also study the structure and properties of the hot gas. A quote from Henrik Beuter: "We were very surprised by the strong signal in a rather quiet area of the Milky Way. The results show us there is still a lot to be discovered in understanding the structure and dynamics." And notice how I did not plan this, folks, I swear. Notice the way they have this star illustrated here? I did not intentionally do that. I'll leave the caption on the screen for anybody who wants to read it for a moment. And then we'll move on. You want to read about the Faraday effect? It's the way magnetic fields affect photons. It's kind of important when it comes to looking at a bunch of photons flying through billions of light years of space, as space is not empty, and while it looks dark, it's far from empty and far from dark. Anyway, read about the Faraday effect if you don't know about it. smAsho mission is, if you weren't aware, folks, we have begun the arduous process of beginning a nonprofit organization, and perhaps in February it will be fully paperworked, let's just say. Anyway, the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space, weather, and Earth effects, to connect and consult with media organizations and multiply our reach, 1,500 subs on YouTube, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary fashion, not limited to those sciences that you see on the screen, to assist the humans by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon and adapt no matter what the adversity is, and lastly, to not be ossified in our beliefs and treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. As if you're ossified in your beliefs, you're not doing science. Those of us who come up with theories spend lives trying to disprove our own theories. Let's talk about RxJ 1856.5-3754, which we showed in the intro. Yeah, it's a neutron star. We talked about it for a brief moment yesterday, and this would be a good one for a t-shirt too. Maybe this will be the second t-shirt after we are done with the production of the 3C405 Cygnus A Radio Galaxy t-shirt. Interesting neutron star, to say the least. And if you think comets are fast, well, comets are pretty fast. How fast do you think that neutron star is moving? As you can see, it was located over here on October 6, 1996, and then by March 30th, 99, it was here, and by September 16th in the same year, it was over here, which means it was traveling at a tidy speed of 241,589 miles an hour. That's 241,589 miles an hour. I believe it's the fastest neutron star, and if you weren't aware, check out the most. It's smashomash.com/forum, and please feel free to contribute your own objects in terms of cosmology to the list of the most. Pretty sure it's the fastest neutron star. Please leave a comment if you know of one that's going perhaps 275,000 miles per hour instead of a measly 240-some thousand miles per hour. If you'd like to read all about it, check it out. It's in the constellation Corona Australis for now. If you understand what proper motion is, please leave a comment. And thanks everybody who tuned in on YouTube or wherever else. Please don't forget to share on your social media and press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Perhaps watch some of our older videos, as we've produced hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos with all sorts of in-depth stuff about space weather and cosmology and even some news crawler services, folks. Did you know about a black hole binary, which I would call massive radio source binary, MAXI J1820 plus 070? It's a big pile of condensed matter out there that's doing some interesting things, as it's now become apparent that the conditions required to create giant explosions in space are binaries. So as these become more and more interesting, so does radio astronomy. And here are the X-ray transients from MAXI 1820 plus 070, and you can see it was on quite a high level of activity there back in 2018. If you want to follow the transients, we've left links to the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory page You can also go to SimBad from here. Sometimes, not on this one, as this is a fairly recent discovery. So if you want to read about this one, it is a phys.org article. The links are below the video as well. And please consider becoming a patron if you haven't done so, as we've got a lot of things to do this year and limited time and resources to do it. So please help fund the channel, as it is in the ground stage of a massive, massive development phase in the year 2020. And thanks, Smash team. Stay tuned for some bonus features, folks. We're going to let this scroll down through Cassini's final images, as Cassini has taken some incredible images of Saturn, such as here's Enceladus rising from behind the planet. It also took some images of Saturn from below the rings, in between the planet and the rings, which I had as my desktop for quite a long time, as that's one of the most amazing astronomy photos I've ever seen. Here are some of the final images from Cassini, if you'd like to go check that out. The moon Daphne appearing between some rings. Anyway, we've linked to this as well, so perhaps check that out. And here's another bonus feature. We're going to look at the colorized magnetogram of the local yellow dwarf. And the most interesting region right now is this non-sunspot. And another plage is forming back here. And there that is. Nothing too exciting going on, folks. No sunspots. There's the zoomed out view. And that was just refreshed. And let's close things out on the 335 angstroms view. One of my favorites. I like the blue colors. It's very soothing. Please leave a comment if it reminds you of things like glaciers. Anyway, we're out, folks. Cheers. Thanks for tuning in to the Cosmology segment. Please check out the older videos and click the links in the description. And don't forget to join smashamash.com/forum.